Hello, Political Wizard here. I'm probably going to get into trouble for this, but somebody's got to say something about it. The way you get to be a wizard is by being old and experienced. I'm old, and a big chunk of my experience comes from several years as a civil servant, which has given me an insight into how government actually works. When I heard that the government was using the police to lock people up for protesting against genocide, I knew this couldn't be correct for several reasons. To begin with, the government is not in direct control of the police, who only arrest if there is breaking of a law. There are no laws against peaceful protest, so some other law is at play. What might that be?
You're under arrest. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defense if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand? Okay, for the purposes of the body one, you nodded when I asked you if you understood. Again, the defense is showing support for a prescribed organization under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act. Okay, the necessity of this arrest is to prompt and effectively investigate this matter and to ascertain your name and address. 1302.
So, according to this very polite policeman, the offence is supporting a proscribed organisation under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act. So they're not being arrested for opposing genocide, are they then? Section 13 of the Terrorism Act 2000 states, under uniform and publication of images, a person in a public place commits an offence if he either wears an item of clothing or wears, carries or displays an article in such a way or in such circumstances as to arouse reasonable suspicion that he is a member or supporter of a prescribed organisation. The Act goes on to explain that a person guilty of an offence under this section shall be liable, on summary conviction, to either A. imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months, or B. a fine not exceeding level 5 on the standard scale, or both. Palestine Action is a prescribed organisation under the Terrorism Act 2000, having been prescribed earlier this year by a white paper.
Do you think they're going to? They look like they're ready to go from the start, like last time.
Well, it'd be great if they arrest us as fast as possible. They might then get onto their real duties. I don't know why they're wasting their time arresting peaceful protesters.
I've got two signs because I want to make it clear that today, as a Jewish person, that there is absolutely no conflict between me being in full sympathy with the people of Manchester, the Heaton Synagogue, which was attacked, and the idea that I should be concerned about ending the genocide in Gaza. In fact, I see it as my duty as a Jew to be opposed to genocide wherever it happens, to whomever it happens. And it's because of I'm a Jew that I oppose the genocide in Gaza.
With all due respect, police are not arresting peaceful protesters. They're arresting people who have broken a law. These people are declaring support for Palestine Action, which is a criminal offence, and the police are constrained to respond to this with arrest. And this is why all these people have been arrested. It's nothing to do with their opposition to genocide. It's because they are on their placards displaying that they support a prescribed organisation. So this is the problem. All these very earnest people are not just engaging in peaceful protest. They are breaking a law which constrains the police to arrest them. The police have no choice, but the protesters do. And by this stage, Following several protests with similar arrests, they know very well what they are doing. They deliberately display text declaring support for a proscribed organisation in order to force arrests, allowing them to dishonestly attribute these arrests to authoritarianism. The protesters are entirely in charge here, and they are deliberately placing elderly and disabled people at the front to derive greater outrage from their viewers. It's absolutely a con. The matter of Palestine Action received a parliamentary discussion on the 8th of September 2025. There are problems with the idea of actually removing the proscription because their case is actually under judicial review at the moment, and they cannot make a parliamentary decision while there is legal action at work. In the discussion, it was explained that while the right to protest and the right to free speech are the cornerstone of our democracy, and there are countless campaign groups that freely exercise these rights, violence and serious criminal damage has no place in legitimate protests. These include attacks at Thales in Glasgow in 2022, and last year at Instro Precision in Kent and Elbit Systems UK in Bristol. The attack on Thales defence factory in Glasgow caused over £1 million worth of damage to parts, essential for submarines. Staff fled for safety as pyrotechnics and smoke bombs were thrown in the evacuation areas. Such acts do not represent legitimate acts of protest, and the level of seriousness of Palestine Action's activity has met the test for proscription under the Terrorism Act 2000, and it was the security services that proposed that they should be prescribed. As I say, the actual status of Palestine Action is under judicial review, which is to be heard in July 2026. If anybody really wants to help Palestine Action, what they should be doing is writing to their MPs and petitioning for this date to be brought closer so that they can be heard and a decision made on whether they should still be prescribed or not. Normal everyday protests of the sort that you've seen shown in this video are absolutely useless in this respect.
If you take a newt's advice, make sure you don't inhale. Yeah, make sure you don't inhale.